because now Tennessee has 2 scholarship quarterbacks. They expect to be in the market for another one. For that, we're going to bring in our friend Chris Hummer, national college football writer, who's here. Chris, you you were part of this whole breaking news process. You were providing us with lots of updates, both on 247sports.com and cbssports.com, talking to sources around all of this. Just what was this like unfolding from your vantage point?
It was interesting. It really did go from 0 to 100 really quickly. And I don't say that like this wasn't bubbling behind the scenes. Like Nico had been and his camp had been asking stuff for things from Tennessee since December, essentially. But this is a situation everybody on both sides expected to be resolved. Even going into, I think it was Friday morning, like both sides expected this to be resolved. It didn't really hit a breaking point until Nico didn't show up to practice, and that kind of broke the camel's back, if you will, in terms of Tennessee's willingness to move forward. And it just shows you how things can change in a really short amount of time. And I think Tennessee called Nico's camp's bluff a little bit, and it really devolved into one of the crazier stories we've seen in this era. But the reality is, like, everybody expected this to be resolved. This was like floating behind the scenes for a couple weeks before transfer rumors had come out. Like people around that program dismissed them, people in his camp dismissed them. Like ultimately it would get worked out, and then it didn't. And that's just kind of what happens in life sometimes, and in college football, especially with as much money as out there. And covering it's always interesting because these things can change very quickly.
I'm sure it was an interesting weekend for you, and now we have to look ahead because the spring transfer portal window opens up on Wednesday, and we were all kind of waiting for when would that domino fall, right? When would we have some of that action? Well, we've got it. A brand new number 1 player in the transfer portal will be Nico Iamaleava. So what sort of effect does him now entering the portal have on the quarterback market as a whole?
Well, we had the stillest pond possible, right? Like just like no wind, not moving at all, and then somebody dropped a boulder in the middle of it, and that's the kind of effect you have with somebody of that caliber going into the portal. But it remains to be seen, like frankly, what his market is going to look like. He can't officially enter till Wednesday, but I think it's been a little more tepid behind the scenes than most people would realize. There have been a lot of teams floated out there, many of whom will not pursue Nico just because of either the reputation or the price tag that kind of comes with the situation. And he is somebody that, like, with the market, eventually there are going to be ripples. Tennessee is going to have to go get a quarterback, as y'all were talking about. Nico's going to have to find a home, and somebody's going to be upset that their team went out and added a starting quarterback. So you're going to see dominoes fall. But I just, in terms of like Nico himself, like I really do wonder how the market's going to play out, because I think based on early returns, like things could change. Like I think they might have overplayed their hand a little bit.
Are there any early contenders with schools? If so, who are some potential names that we should keep an eye on? You mentioned some that have been named, but you don't think are actual possibilities.
The only school I would really like highlight as a real possibility at the moment is UCLA. The Bruins make a lot of sense, close to home for him. They have been in the starting quarterback market this offseason. They added Joey Aguilar from, I believe, Appalachian State earlier this offseason, but not the needle mover that I think many UCLA fans would have liked at that position. Nico Iamaleava would really fill that hole for them. But there's a question of price point. Like, I don't think Nico's making around 2.5 at Tennessee. I don't think UCLA is going to get there, or at least based on historic spending for UCLA wouldn't get there. And that's what kind of sources around the country say too. So they would have to figure that out. North Carolina has been bandied about as a possibility. I'm not totally eliminating them as a possibility quite yet. I think they're doing their due diligence in that way, but I don't consider that likely, at least at the moment. Some other teams that have been thrown out there, like Texas Tech, Notre Dame, like I would be shocked if either one of them went that direction. USC as well. I've been told that is a no. So unless we have a surprise contender come around, which is possible, like UCLA is the school I'm looking at right now. It's just not like going into this cycle, there were not a lot of teams looking for a quarterback, and I don't think that changes when Nico hits the market. Like he is a very good quarterback. I don't know if he's somebody, given everything that's occurred, that everybody's going to push out their guy to go after.
There's also a past relationship with the Iamaleava family with UCLA that could potentially affect these things. But yeah, you mentioned that the Bruins might not get to that $2.5 million range. That wasn't enough for him at Tennessee, and so reportedly looking for $4 million. So it is interesting to see how that plays out. But there is also the situation happening at Tennessee, which is that they have two quarterbacks on scholarship right now, and our Patrick Brown from GoVols 24/7 has more on what they could potentially be exploring.
What now for Tennessee after its messy public split with starting quarterback Nico Iamaleava? On a human level, the abrupt end things had to be tough on many in the program. I think of head coach Josh Heupel and offensive coordinator Joey Halsey in particular, given the relationship that they had with Iamaleava. But Heupel and team leaders who talked after Saturday's orange and white game were almost defiant in their tone, discussing where the Vols will go from here. Heupel said Tennessee is built to win in 2025, and he's right. The Vols have won 30 games over the past 3 seasons and are coming off a college football playoff appearance last season. Tight end Miles Kitselman said the team leaders were in unison about how they felt about everything, and he expects the turmoil to bring the team closer together. And linebacker Arion Carter added that Tennessee will lean on its strong culture to avoid further fractures in the locker room. Now, I expect Tennessee to be looking for an experienced, proven starter in the portal, and the Vols should be appealing to any transfer quarterback. There's talent in the program, Heupel's track record of success with the position, and plenty of NIL resources readily available with Iamaleava coming off the books. So, if the Vols get the right guy, they should remain a contender in the SEC and for the CFP this fall.
Thank you to Patrick for that. You can check out more of his work at govols247.com. The whole crew has you covered there on all the chaos that's happened at Tennessee over the weekend. I want to throw it back to you, though, Chris, because he talked about what Tennessee could be looking for, which is an experienced starter. When I look at 247sports.com and who is available in the portal right now, I don't see a whole lot of that. So who are some potential names that Tennessee could pursue when the portal window opens on Wednesday?
Oh, I don't know about particular names, but
what kind
maybe
of
archetypes. I think Tennessee really could go 2 directions with this job, to be frank. And I think something to remember for Tennessee fans is Faison Brandon's the #1 player in the country in the 2026 class, and he's going to be on campus next year. And Tennessee has a lot of money invested in him, and Tennessee also has a lot of holes. So Tennessee could go out and spend $2.5 or $4 million if they wanted to, if they really wanted to stick it to Nico Iamaleava's camp. But there's also a possibility they go and get a slightly cheaper option, maybe a veteran quarterback with a lot of experience who is likely to start when you put him in the room, but not necessarily a guarantee. Somebody can come in and compete. Or they can go the other direction and just go all in for a year and go poach an experienced starter. I don't know if they've made that decision quite yet. I know there are definitely quarterbacks calling Tennessee at the moment and trying to gauge interest, and I know a lot of agents are doing the same. It's obviously a very attractive starting job, and it'll be very interesting what they do, because that's really the domino that can tip. It's not what Nico does necessarily. I think it's what Tennessee does that could really set the dominoes falling this cycle.
Yeah, Nico is the boulder in the nice calm waters that we had before. Feeling there'll be a few more rocks thrown in there, too, as far as what Tennessee plans to do at the quarterback position. Josh Heupel did say after the spring game that, yeah, we only have 2 scholarship quarterbacks, so we need another one, dependent on whether or not that will be a starter. We'll see, but we're sure you're going to be all over it. Chris Hummer, thank you so much. You can check out more of his work at 247sports.com and cbssports.com. He has had us covered all weekend long with the timeline of events, how everything is shaking out, and with the portal opening on Wednesday, he is our portal guy, so he'll be all over everything happening there.